这样的敬传承祖师敬礼敬礼萨迦正空上师，敬礼16世大宝法阿玛巴，敬礼图登达吉上，敬礼坛城三宝，还有今天的同修本尊地藏王菩萨，师母，各位上师、教授师、法师、讲师、助教、堂主，以及各位同门，还有网络上的同门。今天我们集会的贵宾是中华民国驻瑞典廖东州大使夫人Judy师姐，生活中中委会会计师特丽莎姐，庄敬耀医师，林淑华医师，大家晚安，大家好。你好。
This evening, we perform the Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva at our group practice. And we added the reading of the Filial Piety Sutra. And the Buddha talked about the kindness of our parents, which are very difficult to repay. If our parents are still alive, that's such a blessing. So we should be like what the Buddha said, that we should repay their kindness right away. Don't wait to repay your kindness. That in reciting the sutra, we want to learn from the Dharma talks of the Buddha, which is called the teachings from the sages. And we should perform according to the teachings of the patriarchs, so we can grow according to the words of the Buddha. And after the group practice, we will be cutting the cake. It's to celebrate Mother's Day, which is tomorrow. So the kindness of a mother and a father are equally weighed. And we need to repay the kindness of our father and mother. We should not go against them. Should not become a rebellion children. So the fact that you have grown so big must be nurtured by your parents. It doesn't matter how or what, you know. Please ask who has given birth to you, who has nurtured you, who has raised you, who has educated you. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. Like I was often beaten up by my parents. I was beaten that the wooden rod was broken. And at that time, I looked back and said, I will always remember that you beat me until the rod was broken. But now, thinking back, who was that who used the money that they earned to raise you? Who was it that educated you? So, however you are today, who educated you? When we were children, what we experienced should have been harmonized. Although I had such a miserable childhood, in Taiwanese we call it abused child. So I had experienced child abuse. However, do you know that abuse can challenge you and entice you to be independent, to be strong, so that you have persistence and perseverance in whatever you do, so that you can become outstanding, to become better than everybody else. So there is also a kindness to be repaid for that. Although I grew up in an abusive family, my mother taught me in Japanese. When Dad came home from work riding his bicycle, you should tell him, "Domo okake kudasai." And then gohan taberu. Domo okake kudasai. Gohan taberu. That's a welcome home. Let's have dinner. However, my dad came home after drinking and his face was red. And then we just said "domo" and then turned around and ran. Because we discovered something was wrong. Because Dad's face was red. And he was about to catch us and beat us. And you would still say the whole sentence, "Domo okake kudasai." However, thinking back now, that was the past. The past has passed. That your strong perseverance, your growth were still nurtured by your parents. The fact that your strong perseverance was shaped although with lots of pain. And at those times we were poor. I was born when I was still in the 7th month, so I was having a premature birth. It was difficult to raise me. At that time, during the Second World War, we were poor. It was the ending of the Second World War in 1945, the year of the ending of the World War II. And what I ate was rice gruel. So I drank that. There was no milk, nothing else. That's why I'm rather short. I was born when my mother was only 7 months pregnant. So my pre-birth situation was not very good. And then the post-birth did not allow me to grow normally either. So when I cut the cakes, it gave me all this inspiration of feelings. And after cutting the cake, there would be a book signing. So the book that I wrote, writing about ghosts, are here. And as I have said in Taiwan, I hope that everybody would have this book so you can differentiate what is right and what is wrong, and what is God and what is ghost, and what is the holy sage and what are the 4 sagely realms. So this book was through the self measurements or understanding. And the second one was by comparison, understanding or spiritual attainment through comparisons, and then the understanding or attainments through the words and conduct of the holy people. So through the sutras, precepts, and treatises, the treatises were written by the gurus through their spiritual experiences. So there are 3 kinds of discourses. One are sutras that were spoken by the Buddha. Second are the precepts that was determined by the Buddha. And third are the treatises or compendium, are the writings of the subsequent gurus or patriarchs. They are the 3 Pitakas. And the title of the book is Writing About Ghosts. So we can say that the whole Buddha school now is disturbed by the ghosts. And we have so many people in our school from all over the world. So we can say that the world is being disturbed by the ghosts. And by reading this book, you would know how to protect yourself from the ghost. And most importantly, is you need to visualize Grandmaster sitting on top of your head, and you need to recite Padma Kumara mantra, the root Guru mantra, Om Guru Lien Sung Siddhi Hom, to generate some power. And you need to recite Mahabala mantra.
Om Mahabala Soha. Om Mahabala Hum Hum Hey.
So you can recite either of those mantras of Mahabala, and to invite Mahabala to become our protector. This is also very important. So, and you invite Mahabala or the 5 Herukas, Akala, Yamantaka, Mahotara, Vajra, or Chakrasamvara, Guyasamaya. They're all okay. Either one of them. And you can place these Vajra protectors on the doors and windows to provide protection. And if that doesn't work, you can use the rice and clothes Dharma practice. So you take a very old, worn underwear and place it on a plate of rice. And then you stick 3 sticks of incense on the altar and you pray so that all the evil spirits on your body can be eliminated. And then you ask your yidam to take charge. And when the incense sticks are burned halfway or all the way, and then you take the worn clothes and wear it, and the evil spirits has now gone into the rice, and you throw the rice on the grass at the backyard or on the porch to let the birds eat them. And you throw the 3 sticks of incense at the back of your house. So this is using rice and clothes to collect the evil spirit. The benefit is to let the evil spirits or the evil energy, the negative energy, to enter into the rice. And then by throwing away the rice, it's the same as throwing away the negative energy of the evil spirit. And you can wear the clothes. It's the same as protecting yourself. So the older the worn clothes are, the better, because it has absorbed your energy. So this can be used when children were scared by the spirits, and or when you're sick, or when you're invaded by the evil spirit. Today is May 13th. Now let's talk about Lamdre, or the path and its fruit. Secondly, another way to refer to it is the position of the realization assemblage, the position of the school interest assemblage, and the position of the Guru's guidance. So what's written here in Lamdre, it's quite difficult to explain. The so-called the position of the realization assemblage in terms of the worldly path is hearing and contemplating. Thereafter, one practices on the phenomena of the spiritual experiences, realizing that all realities are intrinsically empty, and afterwards, upon exiting from meditation, one discovers that one is unable to put it into practice. Basically, at this position, one can realize the non-discernment of the eight dharma. However, after obtaining this position, one still turns ordinary, etc. This is very difficult to explain. This is the path. So in our Buddhist study, it's by hearing and contemplating. Like by hearing it today, you contemplate at home. And the worldly path, what is the worldly path? Is the world of things. So that means there are houses, cars, mountains, and the earth. That's called the worldly path. The out of worldly path is to leave behind the mountains and the rivers, the houses and the cars. So we realize that the worldly path talks about existence, but ultimately, at the end, it turns empty. It's the same, all the same. Think about it. A human life, like grandmasters, when we were young, we don't know about old age and sufferings. Of course, you suffer when you were beaten in an abusive family. However, you would still feel that you exist. So there was a statement that human life is like a box of Kleenex tissue. Like if you buy a box of the tissue, very thick, it looks thick, and you place it next to the toilet and you pull tissue after tissue, and it doesn't last very long. That's how life is. And human life is like calling on the phone. If you don't hang up first, I hang up first. So life seems very thick, like a box of tissue. At the beginning, you feel like there are lots of them, very thick. And before you know it, the box of tissue is gone, and you need to buy a new one. It's fast, although it seems very thick. Like we when you go downhill in your 50s, you would feel it. When you go uphill, you would not feel that it's so fast, but going downhill, you would find it to be very fast. You know, Golden Mother told me that at 66 I returned to Taiwan. So half years back and half years here. And just like that, 7 years have passed. 7 years. So 66 plus 7 is equal 733. Very fast. With the blink of an eye, will be in the 80s. Do you know what will happen in the 80s? Like we mentioned before, in the 70s, you would become forgetful. Not frequently. Forget about this, forget about that. Very forgetful. And Simo always tells me, didn't you just eat? How come you're eating again? And you forget. That's what happened at the 70s. And in the 80s, you start to wobble when you walk. And now, Simo taught me a method. When you wear your underwear, or when in the bath, or when you're wearing your lama skirt, you want to lean on the wall to wear it, like after showers. Otherwise, if some mishaps happen, like if you step on it or something, when it doesn't go smoothly, you can fall. So now every time I go see our family doctor, he would ask us, did you fall recently? Strange. Why do you always ask this? Why do you ask this? What he meant is that you can easily fall in this age, and especially when you're in the 80s. And by all means, don't fall. When you're young or when you're children, when you were children, you can fall all you want, it's okay. But when you are age and you fall, sometimes you can die. Especially at my age, when we just wake up, we want to stay in bed a little bit. When I was very young, as soon as I woke up, I would jump off the bed right away. So it's like a kung fu posture. That like the fish hitting the dragonfly. But now when you're old, you want to stay in bed for a little bit to let the blood circulate until your brain totally wakes up before you get off bed. Otherwise, if you lack oxygen in your brain, you may hit the wall. Or in the middle of the night, when you have the urge to urinate, and you wake up and you get off bed right away, and you would lose control over your body and hit the wall. Then you would know when you reach that age. As my mother said, like I said, why were you so slow? And my mom often said, when you're old, you would know. Everything has to slow down. We can't be like the youngsters. So this is considered the worldly path. So after hearing the Buddha Dharma, you would have certain feelings, experiences. And you can realize that all realities are intrinsically empty. Now we know that all existences are intrinsically empty. When a house is just being built, it's a new house. And after a few years, it would become an old house. And when you just drive a new car, and after a few years, it would become an old car. The same with a human being. When you were young, when you got married, you were a newlywed, and now Simo and I are old couples. So is there anything we don't know? Simo also often said that, I know how many hairs you have on your buttocks, on your behind, which means that she knows all my habits and dispositions, and the same, and vice versa, because we are old couples. So a newlywed becomes old couples. So I often told Simu, we should have more people in our home. Otherwise, we can't handle taking care of each other. So why don't we have a few more people taking care of us? The honest, reliable people. Don't always be suspicious of Grandmaster. It's for your sake and for my sake. You know, if you have more people at home, they can help us, honest, reliable, and hardworking people that can take good care of the elderly. So this is a good proposition, because you don't know what kind of thing will happen in the future. Impermanence is here. All of a sudden something happened, and then you can't get a hold of it, can't handle it. So there are people that die suddenly, and there are many impermanences. And once you study the Buddha Dharma, all existences, like in the worldly path, are intrinsically empty. Look at the fame. The most famous ones, like the female president of Korea, the ex-president of South Korea. All of a sudden, when impermanence was there, see? So the name was empty. She was president for a little over a year, right? And even when she was president, and she looked pretty good, because she often had plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery. But See what happened? Perhaps he would be imprisoned. So from the highest position to the lowest. So the name and fame became empty. See what kind of name you have. With one impermanence, it's gone. So things that you think are existence can become empty all of a sudden. Like when you earn a lot of money, with a sudden death, it's gone. Especially for women. When you were beautiful, now it's like an old witch. The old witch always wants to see grandmaster's biceps and the abdominal muscles. So that's a fantasy. You know, I often say, but if you were not this old, if you were 18-year-old girl, I would show it to her. I would show all my muscles. But you're an old lady, so it would be a waste of time showing it to you. Right? No? So this is too is really empty. Why? You know, you are most beautiful when you're young. You have capitals when you're young without anything else. So everyone, when he or she is young, would be beautiful. I believe you were beautiful too when you were young. You know, every woman, when they were young, would be beautiful. As they age, they would lose their radiance, and their face color would fade, and it would become empty. You were beautiful, right? But now it's different. That's empty too. So, upon hearing of the Buddha Dharma, you would know that all existences or realities are intrinsically empty. And you discover that you're unable to put it into practice. So you realize and experience that everything is ever-changing in the world. It's talking about exiting from meditation. And recently I'm writing book number 261 is the meditative stability amidst meditation. So this is to teach you about meditation. In Buddhism, there are three things: precepts, meditation, and wisdom. That's the three non-leaking learnings. And the Buddha taught us to rely on the precepts as our guru. And the meditation as our real practice, which means you need to practice meditation. As Buddhists, we need to train in meditation. Because in meditation, it's different. It's a different world. It doesn't belong to the world. It's outside the world playground. And the highest meditation, there is like the first meditation second, third, fourth meditation. And in this book talks about the fifth level of meditation. That's beyond time and space. Just now, you saw me entering into Samadhi. You saw me entering into Samadhi, and at that time, where was I? I did not know where I was. I didn't even know that I was sitting here on top of this Dharma throne, and I have left this temple. Did you have such experience? Did you ever experience this? You enter into Samadhi and you left. You're not at this temple anymore because there was no time, no space. Did anyone ever experience such a spiritual experience? Nobody? Yes? Master Lian Ye. And in reality, when I was seated here, was I in meditation or was I falling asleep? You saw me earlier. Did I fall asleep in my meditation, like wobbling my head like this, nodding my head like this? Did it happen earlier? No. Well, if I wasn't falling asleep, then I was in meditation. Then I entered into meditation. And in meditation, I saw my sister, my younger sister. And my younger sister is in Taiwan now. So in meditation, there was no space, no spatial dimension. So I went back to Taiwan. As I often said, when I'm in Seattle, I think of Taiwan. When I'm in Taiwan, I think of Seattle. So when I meditated here, I went back to Taiwan and saw what my sister was doing. So that happened. And this is realizing that all realities are intrinsically empty. And afterwards, upon exiting from meditation, one discovers that one is unable to put it into practice. Now, as I exit from meditation, I cannot see my sister anymore. But in meditation, I could. I can. And in meditation, I also see many people. A number of them. So, basically, at this position, one can realize the non-discernment of the eight Dharma. However, after obtaining this position, one still turns ordinary, etc. So after I exit from meditation, I cannot see her anymore. But in meditation, I could see her. So at this position, one can realize the non-discernment of the eight Dharma. However, after obtaining this position, one still turns ordinary. So this is still the explanation. You cannot be affected by what you see. And the worldly path is still the worldly path. Whatever you see, like the space going to the Buddha lands, it cannot be that way. When you exit from meditation, you can't be in the Buddha land because you return to this world, then you're still in the world of existence. This week, coming back, I paid homage to Golden Mother, and I saw Golden Mother to lose weight. And she looked great, losing weight. I was here and I told people, you know, and that's what I saw. But with my physical eyes, her statue did not lose any weight. But when I was paying homage, I saw Golden Mother losing weight. And one day, I paid more attention to her, and she smiled at me. Felt very close. I just came back here for a week. And she smiled at me, and I know what she was smiling at. I saw her expression and her smile, her expressing smiles. And because upon seeing someone that I long for day and night, even Golden Mother can smile. If you're happy seeing Golden Mother, she would smile too. But when you are grieving and you see Golden Mother, she would grieve too. She would look grieving to you too. So I saw Golden Mother losing weight. So it must be really cold in the winter time in Seattle. So nobody brought food for her. She's been starving. That's why she lost weight. So those of you at this Seattle temple, do you have people making offerings regularly? Was that less than before? Why did you make Golden Mother lose weight? How did you make Golden Mother lose weight? That was kind of interesting. Lots of things in this world would be better off to be taken as empty. Then you would not have attachments. Just treat them as empty. So all the worldly dharma are about existences, and all the out-of-worldly dharma is about emptiness. However, all the worldly dharma, although they're talking about existences, ultimately they would be turned into emptiness. So once you comprehend this emptiness, then you would lose all attachments. This is very important, to be not attached. Once you don't have attachments, then you would be free from all afflictions. Why will you be disturbed and troubled? Because you have attachments. Without attachments, you will not have any of the troubles or problems, afflictions. So if you have attachment about earning a certain amount of money and you don't reach that, you would be afflicted. You would be disturbed. If you're attached to your family, then you would be troubled by your family. If you're attached to romantic love, then you would be much disturbed by love. If you're attached about being promoted, then you would be disturbed by it. If you're attached to gaining higher positions, you would be afflicted. If you're attached to your figure, like Grandmaster is rather short, of course, I would be afflicted somewhat. That's why I wear this high heels sandals. Then I would be rather tall. By knowing that you're short, then you wear the high heel sandals. Although you don't grow taller, you would look taller, somewhat taller. Then you would feel you're normal. That's also a kind of affliction. Whether you're beautiful or not, that's also a kind of affliction. Every morning you wake up, you get up and you look at yourself in the mirror and you would feel like, oh, so ugly. Then it would affect your mood. Then you would be afflicted. You would be troubled, right? You would start feeling troubled. And every day when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, wow, I'm so radiant. I look very pretty and beautiful hair. And everybody likes you. Then you would be pleased and happy. So I'm a proponent of cosmetic surgeries because then you would be pleased looking at yourself. And if you're happy, then whatever you do, you would be happy and relaxed. Right? This is also important. In Taiwan, Dr. Zheng Senglong was a cosmetic plastic surgery doctor, surgeon. He took a rather ugly lady and turned her into a beautiful lady. Very beautiful lady. And he visited my home. She visited my home to help me with some IV. And when I took a look at her, I found this nurse to be very beautiful. But my heart did not move. I just thought because she helped me, I wanted to give her a red envelope. But had she been ugly, I wouldn't have given her anything. And then Dr. Zheng said, please don't give her the red envelope. And I asked why. Because she was my model. And he showed me her old picture. Wow, wasn't that my mom? Looked like my mom. How could she become so beautiful? How come she's so beautiful now? Of course, she would be happy herself, looking at herself, and we are also happy looking at how beautiful she is. So it's very difficult to say good or bad. We just rely on our feelings. But in reality, everything would turn empty. Think that way, then you will not have any afflictions. If I have time or lots of money and lots of time, if I have plenty of time, because I'm together with my disciples and very busy, it's very busy, and I write books. But if I have lots of time and lots of money, I want to go to Korea, to Seoul, to live there for a period of time. And coming back from there, I can become an actor. But how about my height? That would be a problem. But they say that they can extend your bones. They can add your height. The science is very progressive now. But I'm 73, just forget it. Thinking that I'm 73. Because when you're at your best, then it's probably about time to die. So exiting from meditation, one discovers that one is unable to maintain that realm. So we cannot be affected by the wealth, name, food, sleep of the world. We want to listen to the words of the holy sages and turn them into emptiness. Because you know that they are intrinsically empty, then you will not have lots of afflictions. You have to eliminate your afflictions in order to attain Buddhahood. Because afflictions are a kind of obstructions in order to have attainments, in order to attain Buddhahood. That's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.